How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another deck profile video. This week I'm going to be going over the 5 decks that I'm looking forward to playing with the set 13 when it comes out in May. And the first one we're going to go over is, as you can tell from the title of the video, is Gogeta Xeno. Now I noticed Gogeta Xeno came out in set 12, and I have been enjoying it, I've been playing it, but with set 13 it gets a bit of a boost, in the TP being the TP Gogeta, which adds a bit of a kind of what you really needed, which is some board removal and also additional fusions. Because sometimes that if you're watching, you've ever played the deck, or if you're just to see a deck that might interest you, sometimes you have it where you don't have a fusion, or you can't drop a fusion. And sometimes dropping the 6-drop blocker, the 16k 6-drop blocker without something to warp kind of feels bad. And even and with the SPR Gogeta, your opponent needs to have at least 2 energy, which sometimes if you're going first, you get the 2 energy and you still can't Union Fusion because they haven't had a turn yet. But the new one allows you to, it gives you another option and gives the deck much needed, in a sense, being either overrealm if you don't. Sometimes you might not have an overrealm, or a Union Fusion if you don't have a Union Fusion. So what I'm going to do is go over the list and go over a bit of a description of how the deck is, and just cover it as I normally do. So I hope you enjoy. So with the leader, it's a Goku and Vegeta on the front side, Goku Xeno and a Vegeta Xeno, saying 10k. It's got quite a few skills. It's got 2 autos, an activate main, and an awaken. So with the first the first auto is once per turn of when you play a battle card using a Union Fusion skill, you draw a card. So it means if you drop any of these 4 here by Union Fusion, you draw a card. So you replace them in your hand with a new card, which is nice. Then it has the also, which is standard on most leaders, is auto when this card attacks, you draw 1 card, then add to 1 card from your life to your hand. So this is nice in the fact that it's drawing on the front side, and also soft awakening, so you're essentially drawing 2 cards a turn until you awaken. Then it's got an activate main of once per turn, send up to 5 cards from top of your deck to your warp. This is a great thing that a leader needs, because you want to send some of these because with the Union Fusion, what we're going to go over in a minute, is they have a permanent where if you would Union Fusion, instead of discarding from your hand like you would normally do for Union Fusion, you can instead place the targets from your warp to your drop instead. So what you want to be hitting off the 5 is trying to warp a Goku and a Vegeta ready to use it, so that way you lose nothing from hand and it becomes almost basically free, because you play one of these by Union Fusion, which they all cost 1 apart from this one here, the Martial Melee, and then you draw a card from your lead to replace itself because you Union Fusioned. And there's a similar effect on the other side of the leader as well, on both sides. So on your awaken turn, you can get 2 draws by doing 2 Union Fusions, 1 on either side, and then a draw and untap from awakening as well, and then a draw from the swing. So on the awaken turn, you can net 4 cards, and also you want to be sending to the warp as well the Unison and the Kai, because this combination allows you to. In this deck, you don't really pay energy for the Unison, you play it for free, so it's quite handy as well. And his awaken is the standard of when your life's at 4 or less, you may draw 1 card and switch it to 1 of your energy to active mode and flip it over. So it's got the mid-range of the awaken, because that's, I think I've gone over it a few times in the video. Untapping 2 is an aggressive awakening, and the draw 2 is a defensive awakening. And this is the mid-range one, having one like a bit of each, so 1 draw, 1 and 1 untap. Now on the front side of the leader, it becomes 15k. It's got the same auto, the first auto on this side as well, of once per turn when you Union Fusion, you draw a card. And then it's got an auto which packs the activate main in as well from the front side of when this card attacks, draw a card, and then you send up to 5 cards on top of your deck to your warp. Now you got to note with this is it's up to, so you can just draw a card and not warp any, but there are some times, like I found as well, where you might not have a Goku target or a Vegeta target in your warp for Union Fusion, so you swing and then you start your warp some cards on top of your deck. But also note that you don't have to warp all 5 in one go, you can do it 1 at a time, because it says up to. So you can do it 1 at a time until you see the target you're looking for, and then stop if you want to. And then like on the front side, it's got an activate main, but this one's a bit different. It's a once per turn you can add one card from your life to your hand. So after you awaken, you've got 3 uses of this. You choose up to 2 of your black battle cards with energy cost of 1 and they gain 10,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. This is great for things like Dark Power Mass N, where if you swing with it to get like the take a life to help you awaken, it's then a 5k in rest mode, which is hard to defend because even just with a leader swing, that's 10k combo you have to use to protect it, which sometimes it might be a waste of a super combo, or if you're not at 4 life, to use a super combo, you're going to be using a lot of cards to save it. But this allows you, and it's got a similar effect on the Unison as well, a similar effect like this, where you can give it a 10k, so it's in a 15k during opponent's turn, which means they've got to put actually some big swings into it to get rid of it. And that's enough for leader. It fits the strategy because you're going to be Union Fusioning every turn, and also drawing a card when it swings, and then potentially if you want to put some pressure on, you don't mind taking a life, you can give more power to your 1-drops, because the main focus of this deck is Union Fusioning and beat down by 1-drop. It's like a death by 1,000 guts essentially. So first off, we're going on the Union Fusion. So the best one out in my opinion, even with the new one, the best one in the deck is SS3 Gogeta Marvelous Might. It's a barrier Union Fusion where you need a leader to be a black same only card, which luckily the leader is, and your opponent needs to have 2 or more energy. You use a Son Goku and a Son Goku Xeno and a Vegeta Xeno. And also note, it doesn't say on the card, but they both power, the power of both cards needs to be the same power. That's why all the 1-drops, and even the Super Combo Vegeta, are all 5k, so they all synergize. And even the overrealm cards we go over, if you use both the overrealm cards, if they're in your warp and you use both those, then they both hit as well, as long as you use both the Union Fusions, not a Union Fusion and a 1-drop. Sorry, not an overrealm and a 1-drop. So you have to have the power matching. And like I said, like I discussed earlier, they've all got the permanent skill of when you can choose battle cards in your warp when choosing cards to use this for this card's Union skill. And if you do, you chase the chosen cards from your in your drop area from your warp. So there's a 20k barrier card, which is having barrier is very nice, meaning it's hard to interact with, and it only comes out for 1 black as well. That you can't see in the text, but it is on the card itself. But it's the one thing that makes this card the best Union, the Gogeta in the deck, is an activate main of for 1 black. You place this card at the bottom of your deck, and you can play up to 1 Goku Xeno with energy cost of 1, and up to 1 Vegeta Xeno with energy cost of 1 from your drop or warp onto the board. And this is easy to do because you're warping from the top of your deck and putting them in putting you in warp from your drop as well to drop these out. So you can, if you're going to be putting some to use from your warp to your drop to use for the Union Fusion, then you have targets to use this. It doesn't, because you can get it from either area. Then the next one we've got is the Gogeta Fearless Fusion. So this is our removal. It's blocker, same Union Fusion skill, but it's not got an enemy requirement. You just need to have your lead. You have 1 black energy, Goku Xeno to use it with, and black Saiyan leader only card. Same permanent, so not going to discuss that. And this is really good removal as well, because it's also is when this card is played, so not just played by Union Fusion, just played. So what we'll get to with the Union. The Union is you can bring it out with the Union's effect as well, a 6-drop Gogeta. So it's just when it's played, you choose it one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less, ignoring barrier and senses its warp. So this is really strong in getting rid of 1-drops. It's allow you removal for if your opponent drops Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan. That's a harmful counter for the deck, because your deck is bringing out cards that will make it allow it to make you force out 2 cards from your hand. And also this is nice against Invoker, which could be a tough matchup as well, because it goes through barrier to remove their Vegeta. So going through barrier is really key in this deck, and it just gives some extra removal for 4-drop or less. And then we have the one-of Gogeta, SS3 Gogeta Martial Melee. So this is a double strike Union Fusion, but it requires 3 energy instead of 1 like the rest. And it has no energy requirement, just the 3 used to use Union Fusion. Same permanent, and it's also got an activate main of once per turn. You place 1 Goku Xeno with power 5,000 power, and 1 Vegeta Xeno with 5,000 power from your drop area from your warp to switch this card to active mode. Now this is one that so it's a 25k double striker that can be a dual attacker. You can attack twice with this for 25k double strike. And it's a really good card, but the reason we only play one is because paying that free energy with no deflect on it isn't the best, because you're a lot of energy. Like mostly all the players in this deck cost only 1 energy apart from this. So this is mainly a target to bring out from the Unison, which we'll go over in a bit. But we do have it in there because if you can pull off the Unison, it's a very good game ender. And next up is the card that comes out in set 13 TPs, is Supreme Gogeta thwarting the Dark Empire. So this is a unique double strike 25k, so that's good. So there's another double striker for the deck. It's got an overrealm 6 for 1 black energy. So there's one thing you might have trouble issue with this deck is sometimes you might have to not have a Union Fusion to use to get the draw off the leader and drop a Union on the board, a 6 drop. And sometimes you might not have overrealm to allow to get the Gokus and Vegetas you've been putting back from your warp to your drop back into your warp. And good thing for the deck, it adds is that it provides both, so it allows you to have that consistency factor to make the deck a lot stronger. So it's either overrealm 6 for 1 black or Union Fusion for 1 black as well. And the good thing about this is it only requires 1 black. Doesn't require any energy, but the only problem I find with it is it's generic. It's not tied to a black Xeno only leader like the other ones are, which is a shame. I feel it should be, and it doesn't require energy. So unlike with the SPR one, you can drop this turn 1, and unlike the blocker, it doesn't have a target you don't need a target on the board to drop it to make the full value off it. Once again, it's got the same permanent, and it's got an auto. When this card attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, sent to the zone as warp. So this is the removal we need, because what doesn't hit through barrier, it still hits anything as long as it doesn't barrier. And the Gogeta, as I've gone over, only hits 4 or less. So this adds the extra removal to help with. And it gives, technically, because we run 2 copies of this in the deck, you've got 6 Union Fusion targets that can help get rid of your Dark Power Black Mass in. It's really good, and this one being a 25k double strike means it's a cheaper way than Martial Melee to try and close out a game. So that's it for the Union Fusions. We have in total 11, allowing us to kind of make sure you've got a target every turn, because the SPR recycles itself by putting itself to the bottom of the deck, and the rest you can bring back out of as well by the Union. So to have these targets, we've got 9 of each Goku and Vegeta to ensure consistency, and make it so it's more likely you're going to hit 1 or 2 off the top deck. What I find with the deck as well is you're never gonna. I've found I've never had to use the leader's effect to warp top 5 cards on my deck more than twice. Normally, once you've done it twice, you've gone for at least a quarter of your deck, a fifth of your deck, and you're normally going to mostly hit a Goku or Vegeta from those top 5. If you don't, that's really unlucky, but most likely you will with this many targets. And like always as well, mostly the Gogeta ones are better than the Vegeta ones, but we'll get into that in a moment. So we got first one is the Son Goku, the True Fighting Spirit. This is deflect, which is nice, so it means it can be stopped. It's unaffected by counter players, which is really handy. So if opponent's got, because the one thing with this, with the SPR Gogeta, Marvelous Smite, is that when you activate the effect, you go, I'm going to use the effect any response for counter window 1. If they blindly deflect, they kind of stop the card from coming out. You can bring out this Goku and the Vegeta with deflect as well, and they've wasted their counter. And if they have no response, you can bring out the other ones if you fear them using deflect to stop it. But yeah, this one has deflect. It's also helped Self-Awakener because it's got the auto of add 1 card from your life to your hand. When this card attacks, it gets 10,000 power for the turn. Now, with both the Unison and the leader effect being able to give them 10k each, I give 1 drops 10k each for the turn, you can mix a 25k, then a 35k with this effect, allowing you to finish off going for big game-ending swings. And the one thing I really like about this deck is this deck has a lot of hate on blue, and as I've mentioned in quite a lot of videos, I really hate blue. And one reason for it is these 1-drops, the True Fighting Spirit 1-drops, because their second auto, well, in Goku's case, it's once per turn. If your leader card is a black Saiyan card, when your opponent activates a counter skill, they choose one card from the hand and send it to the warp. So if your opponent, like as you know, a lot of blue, they've got a lot of counters to negate attacks, and this makes it so if they use a counter, they warp a card from hand. So rather than they lose 2 cards from hand being the counter, and also a card to warp from this as well. And if you get multiple of these out, it deters your opponent from using counters. Like in green, if you get multiple of these out, even if they use dormant, they're using dormant, which is 1. Discard a card for dormant as well to make it so you can attack less, and then 1 for every amount of these you have on the board. So even if they get rid of 2 of them, and you've got 2 or 3 out, they're losing 4 to 5 cards for that dormant, which is a lot for green because it doesn't have much. Green doesn't really accumulate a hand. And with the next Goku we have is Son Goku Catastrophic Premonition. This is a unique. This target has unique, so it means that's why we have multiple targets. So you can get. So if you've got this one already out on the board and you want to use Marvelous Might again, or Marvelous Might for the first time, you've got another target, as you can't play any cards with unique again if you've got one on the board. It also has double strike, so it's a double striker to help finish off games, and it's got a nice auto once per turn. When your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand using a non-leader card skill, this card gains 10,000 power until the end of your next turn. So it means if during your turn your opponent draws a card that's not from leader, it gets 10k, and then if their turn they do it again, there's another 10k, and then your turn it still has it, and then it can get another 10k as well. And the good thing about this is if you're swinging in for game with this, and you put everything into it, and your opponent goes and uses a super combo as part of their combo to defend, and it's a draw one, it gains never 10k, so that basically cancels out the super combo, and they've got to add more to it, which is really nice. Which makes this a really good game ender if your opponent's got super combos that draw. And the last copy we got is one Son Goku making an entrance. This is a counter attack, negate the attack and play this card. This is just to have a little bit defensive needed and just give an extra target. It does something that's got 0 combo power, but it's nice to have that negate if you ever need it. You don't really need defense in this deck. It's quite aggressive, and you've got blockers as well to defend yourself, and you've got combo power as well, because nothing really apart from the Kai is a 10k or a 1-cost 10k combo. And then onto the Vegetas, we've got the SS Vegeta, the Sprint Strike Black. This is the super combo choice. It's probably the best black super combo at the moment because of its effect of if your leader card is black, all your life is at 4 or less, and all your energy is black, which it will be. When this card is using a combo, it gets 10k power for the battle. Then you may choose 1 card from your hand, place it at the bottom of your deck, and if you do, draw 2 cards. This is great to allow you to get rid of cards you don't want to try and dig for more cards. Like if you're looking for the Kai, or you're looking for overrealm, or say you're looking for either the TP Kai or the Unison or Gogeta. This allows you to dig for your deck quicker because the deck doesn't have any searching. So you can see any card in your deck quite easily with your super combos, milling and stuff, because you put stuff to the bottom of the deck and you draw more. Then we have the two 1-drops that we're going to have for targets for Marvelous Might. First one being Vegeta Catastrophic Blow. So like with the Goku Catastrophic Premonition, this is Catastrophic Premonition Vegeta. It's got unique just like the other one. That's why we run 3 copies of this and 2 copies of the other one. So you've got a target if you don't have this. That's why I don't run 4 of this and 1 of the other, because if you don't get them as much Marvelous Might if you can drop 2. Because I've been able to drop 2 Marvelous Mights in 1 turn, 1 off the Unison, 1 to turn, and then with just 4 Catastrophic Blow and 1 of the other one. If you don't see the other one, then you're not getting as much value out of it as possible. And it's got also once per turn, when your opponent plays a battle card with energy cost greater than the current energy, using a skill, this card gets 10k power for until the end of your next turn. So it's a great one for if your opponent rivals in, it gains power. And also same with Premonition, if your opponent arrivals in your turn, their turn, and your next turn when you swing, it gains a 10k for each of those because it's until the end of your next turn. And having that critical means a lot of the time with players, if you swing a critical, they're gonna try and defend their life, which means you're ripping cards out of their hand because of the fact the card has critical. And then the last target is Vegeta, the Truth Fighting Spirit. So once again, this is similar to Goku in the fact it's got Deflect and the same first auto, and also it really hates on blue, which is I really like about this because of its second auto of once per turn. If your leader card is a black Saiyan card, when your opponent activates switches to into active mode. With a non-awakened skill, they choose one card in their hand and sets it in its warp. So this could be this helps against the Aegis that's become popular now in yellow decks. So when they untap, they lose the card. So with Bojack, when they discard the a dual color card, untap 2 and draw 1, they lose that card. They basically don't gain a card. They just lost the card that untap 2 energy. And especially against blue, it puts a lot of hate on, which is what I really like about this. And one of the other things the deck resolves around is the Unison, which is really handy for the deck as well. It's got a permanent. It's a 15k Unison with no specified cost. It's got a permanent of this. If this card has 2 or less markers, it can't attack. And it's got a +1 and a -3. +1 is activate main, choose up to 2 of your black battle cards with energy cost of 1, and they get 10,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this way makes sure one drops a lot of pressure. So like with the catastrophic premonitions, making them 15k, and they can potentially boost themselves. And same with the ever Vegeta and Goku, they can gain a 10k from this and swing, take a life to gain a 25k. So you can put a lot of pressure in your 1-drops and spam them out as well. And the -3 is which is how we play the is the other way we can play the Gogetas, because by -3 activate main, you play 1 black battle card with energy cost of 6 and the Union Fusion skill from your drop area or warp. So if you've warped any copies, you can still get them back, or if you put them in the drop, like combo them off, you can bring them out from that way. And it's very easy to get skills in this, because you can, when the Kai brings it out, it has a marker, then you can +1 and then put another one under it, and if it survives a turn, you can just swing with it, -3, and then you're ready. Then it's gone from the board for you to try drop another one. Because you can loop these as well. Because what Kai does is a 1-drop activate main. If your leader card is a black saying only card, and you place this card at the bottom of your deck from your warp. If you don't have a Unison card in play, you choose 1 black Unison card with no specified cost of 50,000 power from your hand or warp and play it with a marker on. Then you can't play Unison cards for the turn. So this is how you can play it for free. So if you warp this in a Unison, you can put this to the bottom of the deck and play that Unison from your warp for free, so you gain that value. And also, say if you use the -3 on this Pycon, it goes to the drop and you bring out Gogeta, and then you overrealm and send this to the warp, and you have this in the warp or in the drop warp, that's overrealm with it. You can then put it to the bottom of the deck, bring it back out to use again, which is really good. So like with this deck, you can get around Nimbus, because the multiple Unison swings and Gogeta as well. And then for the overrealms of choice, originally I was playing 2 SS4 Son Goku, Beyond All Limits, and 4 Trunks. But after seeing the SS4 Vegeta in the TP for the set 13, I thought I'd give it a try and go for one of each, because of as we talked about previously in DBS, if you've watched the latest episode. These can be used as Union Fusions because they're the same power, and they give both good overrealm targets as well. So with the SS4 Son Goku Beyond All Limits, it's a 6-drop, 30k, overrealm 6, with an auto of if your leader card is black, when this card is played using overrealm, you add up to 1 black battle card with energy cost of between 3 and 4 from your warp to your hand. So it doesn't hit your super combo or any 1-drops, but it allows you to grab back any of your Union Fusions, allows you to grab back the one of your overrealms, or your Gohan that we're going to go over as well. So you've quite a few targets, but the best thing about it is grab back your Union Fusions so you have a target if you lose it from by warping it. And then what the Vegeta does is similar. It's a 6-cost 30k with overrealm 6, and also when this card is played using overrealm, your opponent chooses 1 card in the hand and sets their own warp. So this is nice hand control as well, while being a nice overrealm, but it's also due to the synergy of them together, where if you do end up warping both of them, you've got those targets as well for constant returning if you want to keep if you don't have the 1-drops. And then what we got for the last few cards, we got the secret rare of choice being the Supreme Kai, just the best generic secret rare, and really good for any deck. If you don't have a secret rare, this is probably the best option. Ultimate tag has got the ultimate tag, which means you can all secrets have, where you can only use 1 copy. And it's got a permanent, which it seems like Bandai are putting on most secret rares now, to make him balance, where if this card would be removed from your battle area, remove it from the game instead. And then it's got 2 skills. First off is the activate main, where you choose discard and all your opponent's battle cards and Unison cards are sent as warps. So it allows you to basically just get rid of your opponent's entire board. So if your opponent's got a load of battle cards out and a Unison with loads of markers, you can get that for just rid of that with 1 energy. And to make it even cheaper as well, to make the whole play it and board wipe for just 2 energy. So activate battle for 1 energy, where if you have 3 or more energy, play this card from your hand. If you do, your opponent can't attack with leader cards or use the cards for the turn. Now this is very strong, and you can get a good benefit. Like most of the time, people will swing with a Unison leader first to get that draw. But there are some times where, like I've had recently in the locals, where if you're at enough life, where say if you're at 2 life and your opponent has a double striker, they might swing with that first to try and kill you. And sometimes, like if you've got a blocker infield, you can block that skill, block that attack, and then play this to stop the Unison, any Unisons they may play for the turn from coming down, and the leave card then can't attack, which puts you in a really good position. And it's just the best secret rarity. Then we have 2 Mecha Gebura, the Broken Seal. This is just to help with those linear deck strategies like Broly Swap and things like that, where they've got an easy telegraph play of like what their deck's trying to do. If they're trying to get a certain battle card like Dark Broly, they just drop 6 drops. Broly Swap, they just try to swap the chain. This is a really handy card for just 2 energy to kind of stunt their plays to give you an extra turn. Because of it's got deflect and it's got an auto. When this card is played, you declare an original energy cost and a character name. So when I mean character name, I mean basically just the first line next to the power, where it says character. You got to call that. And the energy cost, which is up here in the number and a little radar. And then for your opponent can't play cards with both the declared character name and the original energy cost, and you can't play copies of this card during your next turn. What that means is just if you play it once, it saves it from it just basically means you're not allowed to play copies of this every turn, because otherwise that'll stun any linear deck. And I'm not going to go over the activate main because it's not relevant in the decks if you don't play any Dark Dragon Balls. And then next we have SS3 Tag Team Son Gohan. This is a really good card, really useful one, easy to pull off. It's a blocker with a permanent basis is unique, because you can because it says you can only one of this card of this named card can be played in your battle area, which is basically what the unique tag is now, because this is before unique was released. And here's an auto: when a black battle card is removed from your battle area by a skill, activate this skill, you may play this card from your hand. So this is easily able to be triggered by the fact that you could, if you overrealm at the end of the turn, you can drop it, or if you use your SS3 Gogeta Marvelous Might, when it puts itself to the bottom of the deck, it's removed by the board, because this doesn't clarify what skill. It's just by a skill, not your opponent's skill, not your skill. So you can drop this quite easily. And it's really great in the fact that it can either be used defensively as a blocker if you need defense, or aggressively as an attacker by just being a free 15k you can play. Then we have Dark Power Black Matte Saiyan. This is a really useful tech. Originally I was using Haro, but since we're getting in set 13 the Gogeta, Fort in the Dark Empire, that covers the double strike pressure for 1 energy that the deck kind of wanted, and this is a lot more useful for a lot of matchups now, where there's quite a few decks that drop 15k like for free without using keyword skills, and this is really nice just to help deter those and give your deck basically stop hurt their plays, so forcing them to try and get rid of it. And you can easily, since it's 1 drop, you can easily boost this by your leader and also or Unison, because it's got an auto to help yourself awaken when it attacks. You can add a card from your life to your hand, and if you do it gains 10k power for the turn. And the other auto is when your opponent plays a battle card with 15k power or less using non-keyword skill. So it's any skill that's not red, green, or yellow. Because I think Awakening is a yellow, but I don't think there's any cards that, apart from Nappa, there's no other leader that really plays cards from their Awaken. And your opponent chooses 2 cards from the hand and places it in the drop area. So yeah, if they're not playing it off a counter skill, a red keyword skill, or a Awaken skill, then I just said down. Yeah, if they're playing off a counter skill, red keyword skill, or a awaken skill, it doesn't hit. But anything else, like an auto skill or an outfit main, it will hit. You play 2 copies because it's not the best. It's not great in all matchups, but it's helpful enough to have it main decked to 2. Then the last card in the overrealm we play is Trunks at Time Regular. This is a really handy card to help you look through your deck and dig for what you need. So if you need a Goku or Vegeta, or you need to send either a Kai or like the Unison from your hand for the warp, or overrealm out the Kai cheaper, or just overrealm cheaper in a turn. This is one of the best overrealms for the deck because it's an overrealm free. So all you need is 3 cards, which is easy to pull off by just doing 1 Union Fusion and then comboing a card when you swing. And it's got a nice auto. When you use it, you play it using Overrealm. You draw 2 cards and choose the 1 card from your hand and set it to your warp. So one of the great things, the really good things with this, is say you Union Fusion, putting back a Goku and Vegeta, and you swing, you combo off the Kai. You can then, that fulfills 3 to overrealm Trunks, draw 2 and warp a Pycon Unison, and then now you can just for free put the Kai to the bottom of the deck to play the Pycon from your warp. So you've just set up to play the Unison for free, and you have a Unison which can then boost your. And if you've played Marvelous Might, you can then tap 1 to bring out that Goku and Vegeta if it's a 1-drop from your warp to play, and then boost them up. So it's got some really strong plays at that. Because normally turn 1 you're going to want to play a Union Fusion or a 1-drop on the board. Turn 2, depending, you're either going to want to drop some more Union Fusions and Awaken. If you go on turn 2, you can drop this. If you go on first, you can drop one of these 2. Or you can do Mecha Burr if the matchup requires it. And turn 3 is where you normally go off and potentially drop 2 of these in one turn, or even bring out this off the Unison. But that's the deck. This is the list I'm going to be looking to play for set 13 when it comes out, and I'm loving this deck. It's a lot of fun, and I like decks to have such strong plays like this deck does. The synergy is amazing, and the power play for the deck is very strong as well. So that's the deck profile. Thank you for watching. If you have watched, feel free to like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment if there's anything I didn't go over or got wrong, so I can correct it or answer the question. And lastly, if you want to keep up to date with all my videos and you enjoy my content, feel free to subscribe, which allow you to keep updated with as and when I post them. But until then, we'll be back tomorrow with the King Cold deck profile. And if you're interested in that, wait for tomorrow, and you'll see it then. But for now, thank you and goodbye.